And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everyone, Ryan Metzler here, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Defenders of the Realm, a co-op game by Eagle Games that'll play 1 to 4 players in about 90 plus minutes, if you can live that long. The goal of this game is to eradicate a spreading darkness of 4 generals trying to attack Monarch City by using your adventurers to move around, kill their minions, and eventually destroy the generals before they destroy you in one of several different ways. So with that said, let's take a look at what comes inside this box, which is quite a bit, how the game plays, and then I'll give you what my thoughts are on it as a whole. Each player in Defenders of the Realm is going to have a character, which will come with both a character sheet depicting all of that character's abilities, and a character figure that they'll be using on the board. These are the painted character figures which I have added to my set. It comes with gray figures of the same mold. They're just not quite as pretty, but they're just as functional. Each of the characters will have a different set of special abilities that will be printed on their board. For example, rogues hide in the shadows, which means that they can end turns on a spot with an enemy. Or the ranger, for example, gets an additional attack anytime that he's in a green area on the board, and this will make more sense when I show you the board in a moment. But for now, just know that each of these characters has special abilities. In addition to that, each character is going to have a certain amount of life tokens, which are indicated in the bottom left-hand corner of all of the character sheets. 6 for the rogue, and 5 for the ranger and the paladin. And these are going to be represented by little tokens that you will place on your character sheets. So, for example, the paladin would have 5. This is also going to indicate how many actions that character may take each round. And for each action that a character takes, they're going to take one of these tokens and flip it over, indicating that that action has been used. Actions that may be taken on a round are wide and varied amongst many different things. There are several different types of actions. First off are movement actions, and the players may move by foot, by horse, or by eagle, depending on the ability to discard certain cards, or they may move between magic gates, which also requires the use of a card, or the specific placement of a magic gate on the board. Players may also use special skills on their boards if they require actions for one of their actions, or may build magic gates as I stated previously. There are some special actions that require special locations on the board, such as the Rumors at the Inn action, which must be taken at one of the 3 inns printed on the board, and will be a way to get cards into players' hands for use with movement, fighting, and various other aspects of the game. Healing the land will be required in order to prevent the game from ending, as there are special taint crystals that will come out throughout the game, which are an endgame condition if all of the taint crystals get on the board. By healing the land, which will require you to go to the location with the taint and use a card matching that area's location color, you will discard that card and roll dice in order to try and get rid of the taint. Success will get rid of the taint, while failure will result in no effect. Healing wounds, as players get damaged by either minions in the game or by fighting against the generals that they must defeat, will allow a character to replenish some of their actions and replenish damage done to them throughout the game. Finally, characters may engage in combat by using cards from their hands to either kill minions, in which they will use to roll... Finally, characters may engage in combat throughout the game, either fighting minions, in which they will roll dice in order to kill specific colored minions, or by using cards to attack enemy generals, which will allow them to roll dice in order to try and defeat the generals and win the game. The game of Defenders of the Realm is played out in a fantasy world represented by this nice, colorful board that you see here. Throughout the board are going to be locations in 4 different colors. You have green, blue, red, and black locations, which also represent the colors of the game's 4 enemy generals that you must kill in order to win the game. Killing those 4 generals is the only way to win the game. The 4 generals start on the outskirts of the land. You can see one here in the Dark Woods, one in Thorny Woods, a dragon in Blizzard Mountains, and a demon down there in Scorpion Canyon. You will lose the game in several different ways. There are 4 ways to lose the game. The first is if any one of these generals manages to advance all the way into Monarch City. Any general that reaches Monarch City will cause a loss of the game immediately. The second is that you can see each one of these generals has different minions on the board, represented by these little tokens. There are a set amount of these tokens for each general, and they will be coming out as the game is played. If any one general has all of their minions on the board at any time, and more minions of that color must be placed, the game is immediately lost. The third way to lose the game is by having all of the taint crystals end up on the board. And you can see there's these little crystals here, and they will come out onto the board at any point when a fourth minion of any color is supposed to be placed in the same location. For example, if 4 black or blue minions, let's say 4 blue minions, were supposed to be placed on Eagle Peak. There's 2 there, and 2 more are supposed to come out on a turn. The first one would be placed on Eagle Peak, and then the second one would force the placement of a taint crystal there, as well as an expansion of blue to all of the surrounding areas around Eagle Peak. This, obviously, as you can see, would cause a massive expansion of the amount of minions on the board, as well as contributing towards taint ending the game. The fourth way of losing the game is if any 5 minions get placed into the center city, Monarch City, which is the area you're trying to defend. Minions can get placed here by having those explosions happen from a surrounding area, entering into Monarch City, and causing you to lose the game. The game will take place over a series of phases and a series of turns, each player having a turn divided into 3 phases, and then moving on to the next player's turn until the game is either won or lost in one of the conditions I showed you. On a player's turn, they're going to perform several things. The first thing they're going to do is that they're going to refresh all of their life tokens on their character sheet, those tokens that I showed you earlier, which determine how many actions each player gets. After they've refreshed their life tokens, they're going to take a series of actions, and they're going to do this using a hand of hero cards they have, as well as any special abilities that they might want to use from their character sheets. Hero cards represent different abilities that players might have in their hand, and different ways to combat things throughout the game. You can see some of the hero cards here. They're going to be represented, or representative, of an area on the board. For example, you can see that this card is for Father Oak Forest. It also shows you on the bottom that it's for the general, the green general, Gorget. This card can be used for several different things. For example, you can see on it has a magic gate symbol. It can be used to transport directly to an area, to the area it shows on the card, by discarding this card and using movement to move to that spot. In addition, if you were already in this spot, you could use this card to build a magic gate there, which would allow for easier transport between 2 areas with magic gates. In addition, as this is a green card, you could use it to fight the green general. If you had decided to go to the green general's location, wherever he happens to be on the board at the time, you can discard this card for 1 attack die against the green general, who will have a special ability which you must first achieve or bypass before you can use your dice in order to defeat him. All of the generals have different special abilities, which will make them difficult to defeat unless you have the right combinations of cards and enough cards in order to defeat them. Other cards, such as special cards, will allow you to use them for special bonus actions on your turn, or to use them for dice for attacking the generals. For example, this one here allows you to attack Sapphire General with 1 blue die when you're in the same location, or you may use its ability to remove 6 minions on or next to Monarch City, preventing that spread of minions from getting too close to your central fortification. Each player will start with only 2 of these cards, and will be able to draw more at the end of their turn, or by using the Rumors at the Inn action by going to one of the inns on the board and spending 1 action to draw cards. In addition to the hero cards that you start with, each player is also going to start with 1 quest, which will be something that they can achieve by going to a specific spot on the board or accomplishing a specific set of actions in order to get a bonus that's usable 1 point throughout the game. These will help you accomplish your goal of beating the generals, and generally just make gameplay a little easier for you 1 point at a time. In addition, these are going to determine the overall winner of the game, even though this is a cooperative game. 1 player who has the most quests completed and the most generals defeated will become the overall winner of Defenders of the Realm. After that phase, which is called the morning phase, players will go to the evening phase, in which point they're just going to draw those 2 cards into their hand, like I told you, adding them to their other hero cards that they already have. After the evening phase, you'll proceed to the night phase, and night is when the bad things happen. This is when your minions are going to grow, and your generals are going to advance towards the city. And how this is going to work is going to depend on how many generals have already been defeated. As the game goes on, we would proceed to the next player. And let's say the players are moving around and a player manages to get to this spot and he'd like to kill 2 minions. He would take one of his action and simply roll some dice, and he would destroy the minions based on if his rolls are high enough. Now, it's going to vary from different color to different color. Greens are going to require a 3 or higher to defeat. Reds are going to require 4 or higher, as are blacks. And greens require 5s or higher. So with this roll, you can see I rolled 2 dice to defeat the 2 green minions, and both of them are 3 or higher, so I would kill both of these minions. That's how combat's going to work for minions. Now for generals, it's going to be a little different. Let's say that my party had advanced over to kill Gorgot, the green general, and let's say he was still at his starting position, and 2 of the different adventurers had managed to get there. Gorgot is one of the generals, and he has 6 hit points, as you can see here. And he has a special ability. Each time that you roll a 1 for an attack on him, it's going to eliminate one of your hits from your dice that you roll. So let's say that we rolled a whole bunch of dice here, and we rolled these. Well, none of those are going to be negations. There's no 1, so he doesn't parry any attacks. But if this had been a 1, he would take one of these hits and he would cancel it out, so now we have fewer hits. In order to defeat a general, you're going to need enough hits between all of your attacks, which are generated by discarding the hero cards matching that general and getting the dice for them, in order to do all of that damage to him in one fell swoop. With the game comes a board called the War Board, or the War Status Board, which will depict how far you are into the game. The game is divided into 3 different phases: early, middle, and late. In the early war, only 1 card from this bad Darkness Spreads deck will be flipped at the end of each player's turn, bringing more minions and advancing the general. In the mid-war, 2 cards will be flipped. The first one bringing more minions and advancing the general, and the second one simply just putting more minions onto the board. In the late war, 3 cards are flipped in much the same manner. So, as I said, during the night phase, 1 card will flip, and we'll take a look at what happens from that card. We can see from the card that 2 minions should be placed on Seagull Lagoon of the blue type, and that 1 green minion should go on Heaven's Glade. In addition, if Sapphire happens to be next to the Ancient Ruins, he's going to advance 1 space. The game will continue on until one of 2 things happens. Either the players will kill all 4 of the generals, defeating the game, or one of the 4... So that's Defenders of the Realm, everyone. And as many of you may know from some of my former reviews or from things you've seen me say online, I'm not a big fan of cooperative games. And really, I went into this game expecting not to like it at all. I played through Pandemic, and I did enjoy Pandemic for the first probably month or 2 that I had it. And then after that, co-op games got kind of stale on me. I tried Space Hulk, I tried, several different ones, On a Rim. And I really just didn't get a good feeling from any of them. But this one is different for some reason. Now, it's very much like Pandemic in gameplay. You're trying to stop the spread of colors, be they fantasy minions or disease cubes in Pandemic. But what really made this one is actually the random element that comes from the dice and the fantasy theme. So if you're looking for a great cooperative fantasy-themed game where it gives you just a nice, satisfying feeling, but it's still not something that you're going to be able to easily walk through and win, check out Defenders of the Realm. I've yet to win a game, but I'm still enjoying it very much.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.